Hi, I'm Jonathan here with Ignite. What we're going to be looking at in this video is the purpose and context that drives Sylvia Plath's Ariel. So firstly, what we want to ask is, why did Plath write Ariel? What's important to acknowledge is that she may not have wanted this to be published at all. Maybe it was just supposed to be a private record, something for her own personal use to work through problems, to reckon with her mental illness. After her death, Hughes, because he was the executor of her literary estate, published Ariel, published it with some of the poems excised in an order that she may not have agreed with. Obviously, that's quite problematic, and it starts to question the role of Plath as the author of Ariel as well. How much of it is what she wanted us to read, how much of it is what she actually thought about herself, and then how much of it is Hughes's invention and sort of careful ordering, perhaps to make himself seem less culpable in her demise. But yes, we can think about her purpose, whether or not she intended it to be published, as a kind of reckoning with her mental illness, with her profound sense of depression and a lack of direction in her world. Is it an attempt to mediate this mental illness, to kind of work through it? Is she using poetry as therapy? Or is it to reinvent herself? Does she use poetry to reconstruct an identity, a resilient identity that she might not have been able to construct or exercise in the real world? We think about the last lines of Lady Lazarus, which are quite instructive in helping us clarify what the purpose of Plath's poetry is. These final lines, "Out of the ash I rise with my red hair, and I eat men like air," seems to be starkly contrasted by the volatility and uncertainty of Plath's voice in other moments of the poem, and indeed in the rest of her poetic oeuvre. And what this suggests is that because she's been so unstable and so afflicted by trauma and oppression and mental illness in her own life, poetry becomes a tool to invent this resilient persona for herself. This challenges the stereotypical role of confessionalism as an unmasker of truth, and instead shows how very intensely personal poetry can be used to reconstruct as much as unmask identity. We also can think about there being a more political agenda to Ariel, an attempt to reckon with patriarchal subjugation, yes, on a personal level, specifically with the men in her life, Hughes and her father, Otto, but also the broad institution of patriarchy and how in the post-war, Cold War context in which she wrote, where women's agency was largely determined by men, where the inequitable gendered power structures that existed politically were manifested domestically, and where the livelihood of any individual could be obliterated and is largely determined by a small group of men sitting in an office with their finger on the nuclear button, what that means for the state of womanhood in this time. So we think about Plath's social context then as all stemming off from the Second World War. In her poetry, she makes allusions to the Holocaust and to nuclear detonation in Japan. In some of her poems, she specifically refers to Hiroshima, she specifically refers to the concentration camps, to Dachau and Auschwitz and Belsen, and how this sense of social collective victimhood, this obliteration and destruction of the individual in such a calamitous state, is something that she feels like she empathizes with. Now, whether or not it's justifiable that she parallels her own suffering with the genocide of 6 million Jews or the burning of people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it's up for debate. but nonetheless it serves to exaggerate the extent to which she feels oppressed within her time. We also think about the Cold War implications of patriarchy, as we spoke about before, where agency and autonomy, especially for women, is largely at the hands of a hypermasculine political elite. So what you want to do when you're reading Plath's poetry is not just pay attention to these personal revelations that she makes, but also think about how they are politically informed. Because as Plath said in an interview, the personal and the political for her are intertwined. The personal is the political, and the political is the personal, because both are driven by a sense of disempowerment and an inequality within power dynamics, within the political sphere and within the domestic sphere. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more videos, particularly about the purpose and context of Hughes's poetry.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do like the content, subscribe to our channel and we'll have more videos coming your way.
That's right guys, thanks for watching, and please make sure you check out our online resource database. We've had a team of state rank achievers and heads of English put these together for you, covering everything from essay structures and examples all the way through to craft of writing and comprehension skills. So check them out at ignitehse.com.au, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.